Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Goodrich Chronicles. I am your host, Anthony Goodrich, and today we're going to deal with racism. Yep, I said it, racism. Something that I have faced numerous times throughout my life, something that has plagued this country for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Okay? We're going to deal with this, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Now, what I'm going to show you today are several episodes and different examples of racism taking place in this country. There's one in particular I want you to take note of, and that's the killing of James Byrd, 34-year-old, I think he was like 34, mid-30s, in Tyler, Texas, a few years back. This man was offered a ride by three white dudes driving a pickup truck in a little town of Tyler, Texas, small little town. So he said, yeah, I could use a ride. They give him a ride. They kidnap him, beat the hell out of him, tied him to the back of a pickup truck, and drove around town while he was still tied to the back of the truck. They drove him around so long that his body parts fell off. He was decapitated. And then they took his remains, so that means they had to go back around town, scoop up his remains, took him to his neighborhood, and put him outside for everybody to see. And I think they may have even burned him. And if I'm not mistaken, put him in front of a church. Now that's just sad. Sad, 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 sad. Messed up. How do you justify doing that to somebody? Now these three people that killed James have all been convicted. I believe two of them may have even been put to death. One of them is still alive. Wow. That's just one out of a few that you're going to hear about today. And I am dying to know what you think. How do you feel about something like that happening? Leave your comment down below. Put up the video.
You don't like free speech.
I do accept responsibility for what I've done. I know I was in the wrong.
Count 2, felony murder, life without the possibility of parole. Count 3, felony murder.
I do accept responsibility for what I've done. I know I was in the wrong. But I want you all to know that that is not me. That is not me. That's not him. I would never walk up to you and say those words to you. And I'm so sorry that happened to you.
In July 2015, 25-year-old Kayla Ray Norton and her 26-year-old boyfriend, Jose Torres, were members of a group known as Respect the Flag, which was associated with racist ideologies. The group drove through parts of Georgia, including Paulding and Douglas counties, with Confederate flags displayed on their trucks, shouting racial slurs at African Americans and instilling fear and outrage in the community. The situation escalated when Norton and Torres arrived at a birthday party for an 8-year-old black child in Douglasville. There, they hurled racist insults at the attendees, including young children.
Is tearful. They were part of this group of Confederate flag supporters in pickup trucks who spent 2 days across 2 counties in the Atlanta suburbs threatening black families and calling them racial slurs.
They're pulling rifles out on us. 5 trucks of white guys with rebel flags.
This family was throwing a birthday party for a young child and called the police.
They got knives and guns, yay!
All of this happened after
Torres escalated the situation further by pointing a shotgun at the crowd, creating a highly dangerous and threatening scene. This incident occurred just 1 month after a racially motivated mass shooting at a church in Charleston, South Carolina, where 9 people were killed. In 2017, the case was brought to trial, overseen by Superior Court Judge William Bo McLean. The prosecution presented compelling evidence against Norton and Torres, emphasizing the intense fear and distress they inflicted on the victims. Judge McLean sentenced Kayla Ray Norton to 6 years in prison, followed by 9 years of probation. Jose Torres received a harsher sentence, 13 years in prison and an additional 7 years of probation. Both were prohibited from returning to Douglas County, the community they had deeply impacted. During the sentencing, Norton expressed remorse, telling the victims, "I'm so sorry that happened to you. I know I was wrong, but I want you all to know that that is not me." Remarkably, the victims responded with compassion, with one person saying, "I forgive you."
Executed in 2011. Barry is serving life, and without a last-minute stay, Bill King will be executed less than an hour from now. He's never expressed regret for Bird's death.
Sean Barry, Lawrence Brewer, and John King gained national attention in 1998 for a horrific crime that took place in Jasper, Texas.
One of the worst hate crimes this nation has ever seen. Bird was kidnapped and then tied behind a pickup truck and dragged for nearly 3 miles in the East Texas city of Jasper, all because he was black.
The legacy of a gruesome hate crime still haunts this small Texas town.
Their lives changed forever on June 7th, the day of Bird's murder.
There are not words to describe just how bad this was.
Lawrence Brewer and John King, along with their accomplice Sean Barry, carried out one of the most horrifying hate crimes in U.S. history. They offered a ride to James Byrd Jr., a 49-year-old black man pretending to help him get home. But instead of keeping that promise, they drove him to a remote area. What followed was an act of unimaginable cruelty.
3 miles until he was decapitated.
A black boy.
The 3 men brutally attacked James Byrd Jr., beating him severely before chaining him to the back of their pickup truck. They then dragged him for 3 miles along a rough asphalt road. Tragically, Byrd remained alive through much of the torture until his body was ultimately torn apart. They then discarded his remains in front of a black cemetery, directly across from a chapel.
It's outside of the city limits.
The sheriff immediately called the FBI in for backup, but it didn't take long for the news to spread through town.
When authorities caught up with the suspects, they uncovered a clear trail of evidence linking them to the crime. Lawrence Brewer and John King openly embraced white supremacist ideologies. They had racist tattoos and were affiliated with a known white supremacist prison gang. Judge Joe Bob Golden oversaw the case, with District Attorney Guy James Gray leading a relentless prosecution. John King was the first to stand trial. It took the jury less than 2 hours to convict him of capital murder. Judge Golden sentenced him to death, making King the first white man in modern Texas history to receive the death penalty for killing a black person.
Unique. The death clock is ticking. We're in the final hours before John William King will be put to death. That's scheduled for 6 o'clock today. And I'm actually standing right outside the wall unit is where King will be led to his death chamber. Now, it's a story many of us know that we've taken to heart, and I've come.
Next came Lawrence Brewer's trial, which ended with the same outcome. He was sentenced to death. The evidence against both men was undeniable. Prosecutors portrayed them as unapologetic racists who committed a senseless and brutal murder driven purely by hatred.
And welcome to the White House. There are several people here that I want to just make mention of because they helped to make today possible. We've got Attorney General Eric Holder and the Department of Justice staff.
Texas went on to enact the James Byrd Jr. Act, Hate Crimes Act, and later President Obama signed the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act into federal law, strengthening protections against hate-motivated violence nationwide.
The Klan decided to come in. The new Black Panthers decided to come in.
Authorities are facing their greatest challenge controlling the situation now when the Klan is trying to leave the scene and black militia groups.
That reality.
There were a few people that would almost try to blame Mr. Byrd. No one deserves to die that way.
Lawrence and King showed little remorse for their actions, continually asserting their innocence and attempting to appeal their sentences. However, the courts rejected their efforts. King was executed in 2019, while Lawrence still remains on death row.
Tennessee too.
What do I tell you?
Go back to Tennessee too.
You can.
We don't want you here. All your race baiting bullshit. You ain't gonna be mayor either, bitch. You ain't gonna be mayor either, bitch. You fucking hoe. You fucking hoe. You fucking up my whole city. George Floyd. George Floyd. I should have killed you, bitch. I should have killed your bitch ass. Everybody knows you're alive. Everybody knows you're alive, huh?
In May 2017, a tragic event unfolded on a Max light rail train in Portland, Oregon, when 35-year-old Jeremy Christian, a man with white supremacist views, launched a violent attack.
The Max stabbings of May 26, 2017 changed Portland. 2 people died. A third was hurt.
Christian began by shouting racist slurs at 2 black teenage girls, one of whom wore a hijab. When 2 men, Ricky Best and Taliesin Namkai Meche, intervened to defend the girls, Christian attacked them with a knife. In the attack, Christian fatally stabbed Best, a 53-year-old Army veteran, and Namkai Meche, a 23-year-old college student. He also left Micah Fletcher, a 21-year-old student who tried to help, with serious injuries.
Die, Portland. You got no safe place, liar. You're not the only black person on Max, liar.
I'm the news. I'm the news. You want the real news?
Why'd you try to go in there then?
Because they invited me in.
And the man at the center of it all rarely shied away from that spotlight.
I'm a white supremacist. Why'd I vote for Bernie Sanders?
His name is Jeremy Christian, and this is the...
Following the attack, Christian fled the scene but was swiftly apprehended by the police. During his arrest, he made unsettling remarks, openly confessing that he had carried out a hate crime.
The evaluation goes into detail about Christian's time in prison. He was convicted for a 2002 armed robbery, during which...
You don't like free speech.
The case went to trial in 2020 with Judge Cheryl Albrecht presiding over the proceedings. Prosecutor Jeff Howes built a compelling case against Christian, emphasizing his violent behavior and the racist motives behind his actions.
Had aimed an angry, racist rant at 2 teen girls, both black, one wearing a hijab. In the report, Christian said he wasn't paying any particular attention to the girls. He did remember pushing one of the victims of the stabbings in the chest. Then he said the lone survivor of the...
Prosecutor Jeff Howes argued that Christian had premeditated the attack, driven by deep hatred. In contrast, the defense claimed that Christian acted in self-defense, insisting he felt threatened by the men who confronted him. After a tense 4-week trial, the jury deliberated for nearly 12 hours before returning a guilty verdict on all charges, including 2 counts of first-degree murder and attempted murder. As the verdict was read, the victims' families gasped in disbelief, while Christian remained unfazed, offering no reaction.
Tennessee
No,
too.
what do I tell you?
Go back to Tennessee too.
You can.
We don't want you here. All your race baiting bullshit. You ain't gonna be mayor either, bitch. You ain't gonna be mayor either, bitch. You fucking hoe. You fucking hoe. You fucking up my whole city. George Floyd. George Floyd. I should have killed you, bitch. I should have killed your bitch ass. Everybody knows you're alive. Everybody knows you're alive, huh?
Demetria Hester, a black woman whom Christian had assaulted the day before the stabbings, voiced her profound anger and pain, calling him a waste of breath for the harm he caused. In the end, Christian was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, ensuring he would spend the rest of his days behind bars for his horrific actions.
After 3 civil rights workers were killed, a Mississippi jury has found Edgar Ray Killen guilty of manslaughter in the case. Alifair Burke is an associate professor of law.
Be given. So it was given, and the jury, in making this decision, having heard the evidence, did not find Mr. Killen guilty of murder, but found him guilty of manslaughter. The jury deliberated on this issue for some time, And if you question their decision, then you are voiding.
In 1964, 3 civil rights activists, James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, and Michael Schwerner, were murdered in Mississippi. Edgar Ray Killen, a member of the Ku Klux Klan, was convicted of masterminding their killings.
That was the same day Goodman and fellow civil rights workers James Chaney and Mickey Schwerner went missing.
The 3 young men had traveled to Mississippi as part of the Freedom Summer campaign to assist with registering black voters. On June 21, 1964, while investigating a church fire, Chaney, Goodman, and Schwerner were detained by local authorities. After their release, they were ambushed by Killen and other members of the Ku Klux Klan. The men were viciously murdered and their bodies were hidden in a dam. For weeks, the FBI conducted an intensive search, and their disappearance sparked national outrage.
Philadelphia, Mississippi, 1964. A sleepy southern town steeped in tradition finds itself targeted for invasion. Across the South, a legacy of racial hatred is about to be challenged, but not without a fight. Before it would end, 3 civil rights workers would vanish, drawing the eyes of the world to the quiet community. But the Klan made the decision for them. Several church members, including women, were badly beaten. Later that night, Mount Zion Church was burned to the ground.
In 1967, Killen stood trial in federal court alongside 18 other men, but the jury was unable to reach a verdict, resulting in a mistrial. For years, Killen remained free, but the case continued to draw public attention. In 2005, after years of pressure to bring him to justice, Mississippi reopened the investigation against Killen. The trial began on June 13, 2005, with Judge Marcus Gordon overseeing the proceedings. Prosecutor Mark Duncan presented compelling evidence linking Killen to the planning of the murders. Witnesses testified about Killen's direct involvement, with some recounting how he had boasted about the killings. The trial was deeply emotional, as the victims' families, after decades of waiting, hoped for justice at last.
80 years old in 2005 when a Neshoba County jury convicted him of 3 counts of manslaughter. It was 41 years after James Chaney, Michael Schwerner, and Andrew Goodman were killed by Klansmen and found in a dam in Neshoba County. The murders were documented in the...
On June 21, 2005, exactly 41 years after the murders, the jury convicted Killen of 3 counts of manslaughter. He was sentenced to 60 years in prison, with each count carrying a 20-year term to be served consecutively. Many believed the sentence was too light given the severity of the crime.
Count 2, felony murder, life without the possibility of parole. Count 3, felony murder, vacated. When I say vacated, it's vacated by operation of law in all cases. I'm not going to repeat it. Count 4, vacated. Count 5, vacated. Count 6 merges into count 2. Count 7, aggravated assault, 20 years consecutive to count 2. Count 8, 10 years concurrent to count 7. Count 9, 5 years concurrent to count 7. That is life plus 20 years. Roddy Bryan, I do want to separate a little bit because the state is making a different recommendation. And despite the back and forth that Mr. Goff and I had during this case, I do want to point.
It all began on a sunny February day in 2020 in Brunswick, Georgia. Ahmaud Arbery, a 25-year-old black man, was out for a jog, unaware that this would be his final run. Greg McMichael, his son Travis, and their neighbor William Bryan decided Arbery seemed suspicious. They jumped into their trucks and gave chase. Travis McMichael, armed with a shotgun, confronted Arbery. Moments later, gunshots rang out and Arbery collapsed. Initially, there were no charges. Local authorities took no action. But when a video of the shooting surfaced online, it quickly spread. capturing the nation's attention and sparking loud calls for justice.
Convicted in the death of Ahmaud Arbery, has just received a second life sentence this morning on federal hate crime charges related to the case. Travis McMichael, seen here on the left, was sentenced to life in prison plus 10 years after a federal jury found he violated Arbery's civil rights and targeted him because of his race as he was jogging in Georgia 2 years ago. His father, Gregory Michael, and their neighbor, William Bryan, are also set to be sentenced later today on the same federal charges. All three are already serving life sentences in state prison.
The case was handled by Judge Timothy Walmsley, with prosecutor Linda Dunikoski leading the charge for justice. She argued the McMichaels and Bryan chased Arbery without cause, acting as judge, jury, and executioner. The defense claimed self-defense, but the jury found all three men guilty of murder after a tense trial.
That said, with regard to the sentence in this case, as to Travis McMichael, Mr. McMichael, the court sentences you as follows. Count 1, malice murder, life without the possibility of parole. Count 2, felony murder, is vacated by operation of law. Count 3, felony murder, vacated by operation of law. Count 4, felony murder, vacated by operation of law. Count 5, felony murder, vacated by operation of law. Count 6, aggravated assault, merges into count 1. Count 7, aggravated assault. The court sentences the defendant to 20 years consecutive to count 1. Count 8, false imprisonment, merges into count 1. Count 9, attempted false imprisonment, 5 years concurrent to count 7. That is life plus 20.
On sentencing day, Judge Walmsley delivered a strong verdict. The McMichaels were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, while Bryan received life with the chance of parole after 30 years.
Now, after hearing those stories, I was literally sick to my stomach. Especially the people riding around in a pickup truck with rebel flags, pointing their guns, threatening to kill because of their color. Believe it or not, it's still happening today. Yep, still happening today. That was a long time ago, but it's still happening. And thank God for social media and cell phone cameras, because now we get to have a first-hand look at some of the atrocity that's going on in this nation. I tell you what. No, I ain't going to tell you because I'm going to mess around and get booted off this channel, so I'm going to keep that one to myself. But again, I'd love to hear what you think about the racism in this country today, the video you just saw, and what do you think can be done about it? Or is there anything that can be done about it? Let me know. But in the meantime and in between time, just want to say thank you very much for tuning in. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to spend some time with a brother like me, and for that I am grateful. Anthony Goodrich signing off. Until next time.